Good morning and welcome to Daily Red Devil for all of your latest Manchester United transfer news and talk. Hope everyone is doing well on this Wednesday morning. Lots to get into on the show today. But before we do that, please do me a small favour. Make sure to subscribe to the channel if you are new, bottom right hand corner. Completely free to do so. And also be sure to give the video a like as well. Let's try and see 500 likes on this episode today. We're just about to hit 41,200 subscribers. So please go and subscribe if you are watching for the first time. Let's try and get to that in the next couple of days. Right. We're going to start the show off by talking about the goalkeeper situation, and I want to get you, the Manchester United fan base's thoughts on the situation. Do we need a new goalkeeper? Do we need to replace Onana? That's part one of the question. And then part two, if your answer to part one is yes, who should that goalkeeper be? So you can either let me know, maybe you say, you know what, I like Onana, I think he should stay, let's give him another chance. Fine. Or you might say, you know what, I'm done with him. I don't think he's good enough. And then I want you to tell me who you want instead. All right, so go and do that in the comment section now. If you're watching live, get in the live chat. I'll read through some of the comments in a minute. And we will start off by talking about this exact topic because there are various different journalists in the UK this morning and last night reporting that apparently Manchester United are looking at a new goalkeeper. Who? We'll talk about in a minute. But the fact of the matter is that Andre Onana is seen as Erik ten Hag's goalkeeper. He was brought in for Erik ten Hag, right? We all know that. He played under Erik ten Hag at Ajax. He specifically was signed to suit Erik ten Hag's system, which we never actually saw, did we? Supposedly he's a ball-playing goalkeeper, but I mean, I don't really see it myself. I know he can do it, but for whatever reason, whether it's a confidence issue, I'm not sure. He just doesn't give me any confidence when I watch him play in goal at all. But how do people feel about this? Do we need a new goalkeeper or would you stick with Andre Onana? Let me know about your thoughts. So it says that Manchester United are now strongly considering signing a new goalkeeper as part of their summer rebuild, whether that be as a potential number one, i.e. to replace Onana, or as an understudy for Onana. The story says that Andre Onana does not feel concerned about the speculation that he may be replaced, and he wants to remain focused on helping Manchester United turn things around. Now, when we spoke about this topic a couple of months ago, my answer is going to kind of be the same. I think to bring in a new number one right now would be too expensive because of the amount of money we paid for Onana, the amount of wages we've given Onana, the amount of money we'd get back if we were to sell Onana. Obviously, it would be a very small amount. Onana, if you're unaware, is on quite a lot of money at Manchester United. He's on 120 grand a week base salary. But then there is also £80,000 worth of bonuses. I had a look through the bonuses and they're things like winning the game, clean sheets, etc. I know he doesn't get many clean sheets, but he can earn up to 200 grand a week, which is 10.5 million a season in wages. And he still has 3 more years left on his contract. So his contract at the moment is worth still about £35 million in wages alone. Then you've obviously got the transfer fee to talk about, which is, let's be honest, absolutely astronomical. And we're not going to be able to recoup the money that we spent on Onana, realistically. And because of PSR, you look at the fee we paid for Onana. Obviously, we know with amortization, we can spread that over a 5-year period. So in the relationship of Andre Onana, we signed him in 2023. So we're going into the second year now. In the summer, it will be 2 years of Andre Onana. We signed him for 50 million euros, which is, I believe, is it about 45 million pounds? Let me just double check. 42 million pounds we paid, okay? So you do 42 divided by 5, that's the length of the deal. That's the maximum amount of time you can spread a transfer fee over in your PSR books. So when it comes to the summer, we'd have had about 16.8 million off the transfer, right? Which means that we'll still have around 25 million left to pay off, which isn't a massive amount. Maybe some people are sat at home thinking, I reckon we could get 25 million for Onana. Maybe 25, 30 million tops. But as I said, then the problem you have is his wages. And this is the same thing that we find ourselves in every single transfer. We buy players, we double, we triple. Sometimes we even 10 times the wages that they were earning previously. Anthony was an example of that. And then it comes down to reselling them. And the transfer fee works in relation to amortization, but the wages become a problem because one, the player won't agree to less wages to move to a new club. And two, the new club won't go anywhere near the wages that he's earning at Manchester United. So I think we'll find ourselves in a similar sticky situation here with Andre Onana, where there would be teams interested in him, I think, outside of England maybe. He did do very well for Inter Milan. He got them to a Champions League final and he was phenomenal in that run. So he is a good goalkeeper. I think the general consensus is that he doesn't instill confidence in the team. He's shaky. He makes lots of mistakes. And I've always said that no matter who you bring in up front, if you had a Haaland, you had a Gyökeres, you had an Osimhen, I still don't think we're going to be successful when you've got someone like Onana in goal because of the amount of goals and mistakes he makes. So otherwise, you're literally just trying to outscore the opponent every single game, He's been a little bit better the last couple of games, but he still doesn't fill me with any confidence. What would I do, though? Because we definitely need a new goalkeeper, 100%. And the reason for that is because Tom Heaton, the third-choice goalkeeper, is leaving in the summer, 100%. His contract's up. Altay Bayındır most probably is going to move back to Turkey. So that would mean that the only goalkeeper we have is Onana. Now, what I would do personally is I would bring back Radek Vitek, who's currently on loan in the Austrian league. Have him as the number 3. And then I would either sign... I'd probably go for James Trafford from Burnley as kind of the understudy. He's been really good for Burnley this season. 22 years of age. Obviously played in the Premier League with Burnley previously. Came through the Manchester City Youth Academy. So he knows the city. He was at Manchester City from the age of, from under 18s all the way up to about 2 years ago when he moved to Burnley. So he has Premier League experience. He's kept 11 clean sheets so far this season in the Championship, which is, pretty good. Obviously, Burnley are a team who always have to sell players, regardless of whether they're in the Premier League. Transfer fee-wise, we're talking about 20, 30 million. And obviously, the key thing here is where Burnley finish in the table. That's kind of the most important thing, isn't it? If they finish in the top area, i.e. they get promoted, I think it'll be a difficult deal to do. But if they don't get promoted, then it should be a little bit easier for Manchester United to pick him up. Burnley are currently third in the I nearly said the Bundesliga, in the Champions League. Champions League? Burnley are third in the Championship. Just to confirm, Burnley are not in the Bundesliga or in the Champions League, right? They're in the Championship. They are third in the Championship and they're 2 points behind Leeds and Sheffield. So it's very tight at the top of the Championship. Anything could happen there. There's literally a title race on, as well as a playoffs race in the Championship. So that's one to keep an eye on, just out of interest, isn't it? But I think James Trafford would be a good option. Obviously, there's people like Diogo Costa, names like that that we've been linked to for a very, very long time. But we know that they're going to cost absolutely mental amounts of money, aren't they? 50, 60, 70 million, which I don't think Manchester United have to spend on a goalkeeper right now. Let me just have a little sip of my tea. Somebody in the chat says, Onana was the wrong option. We should have gone for Costa. I agree. Definitely. I would 100% agree with you. Melchett says, signing a backup goalkeeper who we'll never see is pointless. Onana needs to be benched. Yeah. What else have we got? Let's see. Melchett says, Radek Vitek is brilliant. Sino says, I'd want Gregor Kobel from Dortmund. Yeah, that'd be a good option. Ant says that he wants Costa, but he'd take Vitek back. I think the goalkeeper situation definitely does need addressing, but it's just whether we have the resources to do it this summer. And, as Chris says, you want to bring in the best of the best. And I don't think any of these names we're mentioning are the best of the best, realistically. Someone's even mentioning Zion Suzuki. Again, he looks like a promising goalkeeper, but he's not top level. He's not an Alisson. He's not an Edison. He's not, any of these types of players, is he? He's just one of those trendy names, isn't he? And says, what about Onana plus cash for Costa? In theory, that sounds good, but we have to go back to the previous point, right? There would be teams interested in Onana, but no one's going to be able to pay the wages that we pay him. So why would he leave? And then if that happens, the only way to get him to leave is to pay him to leave, and then that just goes down a whole nother rabbit hole of issues. Because say say Porto. So you're saying, you're saying that we should sign Diogo Costa from Porto and Onana should go there. Yeah, great. Sounds good, right? But as I said, Onana's on nearly 200 grand a week, including his bonuses, whereas Diogo Costa at Porto is on about 20 grand a week. So if Onana was to go to Porto, their current highest earner is on £40,000 a week, which is 5 times less than what Andre Onana's on. So, even if he went there and was the highest earner and was on 80 grand a week, that's still 120 grand less than what he's earning now. So if you do that really, really quickly, right? So you think there's 3 years left on his deal. This is why we're in the problem we're in with transfers. There's 3 years left on his deal. He would turn around to Manchester United, I've just done the maths, and he'd say, right, I'm happy to move to Porto, no problem. They're willing to pay me 80 grand a week, okay? I'm going to be the highest earner at their club. I'm going to be on 80 grand a week. But that's still 120 grand a week less than what you're paying me. So if you want me to go, I'll leave, but only if you compensate me with the money I'm going to lose from my current contract. And that would be if he was to leave this summer and move to another team and earn a more reasonable wage of about 80 grand a week, it would mean that Manchester United would have to make up a difference of about £20 million that you'd have to give Onana to leave. So that's why selling Onana isn't easy, because we've put him on a big contract, he's underperformed, and no one's going to pay that type of money for him, unless you get like a Barcelona come in or a PSG or a Bayern Munich maybe, but that's not going to happen, None of those teams that I've mentioned are looking for goalkeepers, and I don't think they'd be looking at Onana. The biggest example of this is you look at the wages that he was on at Inter Milan, Andre Onana. So Andre Onana at Inter Milan, who were in a Champions League final, was earning, in the first year at Inter Milan, he was earning 20 grand a year, and then his contract went up to 60. Manchester United then pretty much tripled it. At Ajax, in the Eredivisie, he was earning 4.5 grand a week. So 4.5 grand a week at Ajax, moved to Inter, got 16 grand a week, and then eventually in his final year at Inter, he got 60 grand a week. And then at Manchester United, he's earning 120 grand a week plus bonuses, which is crazy. Absolutely mad. But yeah, let me know your thoughts on that part of the show, and we will move on to something else. Let's talk a little bit about Jadon Sancho, everybody's favourite topic, eh? So this is coming out from multiple people this morning, saying that Chelsea are strongly considering ripping up their £25 million agreement with Manchester United for Sancho. It says they will have to pay a significant fee to get out of the deal. And then it says Manchester United do not want Jadon Sancho back and are planning for next season without him. Should he return, Ineos would want to move him on quickly to raise funds for Ruben Amorim's squad. I don't know how this is allowed to happen. If there's an obligation to buy, there's an obligation to buy. When have you ever seen a transfer where there's an obligation to buy and then the team decide they don't want them and send them back? I don't remember this ever happening. Maybe it has. I can't think of it ever happening with Manchester United, to be honest. But if you can think of any other examples of that happening, let me know. But yeah, for me, this is the first time I can remember. I'm sure it's happened to other teams, to be fair, but yeah. Weird old situation, innit? Really, really weird. But hopefully it gets resolved and hopefully they decide to keep him. I just can't see it personally. He's really not been great, has he, for Chelsea? He's got 2 goals this season. Let me see if he scored in any other competitions. Yeah, I mean, he's got 2 goals in all competitions. And he's played 29 games. And they don't even want to give us 25 million for him. It's crazy, isn't it? Like how some players literally just fall off a cliff. He was like one of the most exciting players in the world at Dortmund 3-4 years ago. And now Chelsea won't even buy him for 25 million. And says if the final compensation is high enough, let Chelsea do it and we'll sell Sancho to someone else. The problem I have with that, right? In theory, that sounds great. But my fear is Sancho only has 1 year left on his contract at Manchester United. So I don't know. I just have this horrible feeling he's going to come back and then be like, I'm not leaving, and then leave for free the next year. I feel like he's got it in him where he just like would happily sit on the bench for a year. But I mean, if I was Manchester United and that happened, I would literally just be like, when you're going to go and train on your own for a year, you're not going to be involved in any match day squads. even if we don't have any players, I still wouldn't involve him in it. Just completely cut him out. Definitely don't give him the free lunches. Give his free lunch to somebody else. Give it to one of the, the people who work, one of the working class people who work there. So no free lunch. No, I'm being a bit cruel, but you know what I mean in it. Like, we can't just become a charity, realistically. And I know he's got a contract, a legal contract with Manchester United. I get that, and it's you can't you can't break contracts unless you pay them off. Domain says, the question is, why do you think Chelsea don't want him? I mean, I don't watch Chelsea every single week, so I can't 100% comment on it, but I have quite a few friends who support Chelsea, and when he first went there and was performing okay, they were all like, oh, it was clearly Erik ten Hag, he's world class, and then suddenly now they've gone very quiet. So from what I've heard, he's just not been very good at all. And to only get 2 goals in 29 appearances, quite a few of those in the Conference League as well, is pretty embarrassing, really. So, yeah, I don't know. Maybe he just doesn't suit Maresca's system. They've got lots of wingers, remember Chelsea? They've got lots of options in those positions. They've just signed Kender as well, who's going to play in that position. So it kind of does make sense why they don't want him. And he's not a young player anymore. He turns 25 next week. And I know that's still young in the grand scheme of things, but when we first signed Sancho, he was like 21, 22, and people were like, he could be the best player in the world. And now it's like, he's in his prime, and he's probably the worst he's been in his whole career. So I just think and the other thing as well, actually, when someone said, why don't they want him? I've completely missed the key reason. The key reason, and I've spoken about this a couple of times on the show, is because of his wages. Again, at Manchester United, Jadon Sancho is on absolutely crazy wages. He's on 250 grand a week, right? Chelsea's highest earner is Reece James, who's on 250 grand a week. And then you go further down from there, and it's like Enzo Fernandez, Pedro Neto, Cole Palmer. Cole Palmer's only on 130k a week, and he's Chelsea's best player. And Jadon Sancho's on 250k a week. So if he was to go to Chelsea, he's obviously going to want the same amount of money he's on at United, right? Which is 250k a week, which is, I mean, it's about £14 million a season in wages. And then I work that out over a 5-year contract. It was around £70 million worth of wages. So not only would they have to give us 25 million in transfer fee, they would have to legally sign a piece of paper which says, we, Chelsea, will give Jadon Sancho £70 million over the next 5 years. So that's why they don't want him, because they're looking at him and thinking, is this player worth 70 million wages plus 25 million in transfer fee? Total package of 95 million pounds, plus probably agent fees, all the rest of that. And they're looking at it thinking, there is no way on earth that this guy's giving us 20 million pounds worth of value a season. Let's send him back and pay the fee. So that's why. Hopefully the fee is like the full transfer fee. Hopefully it's the full 25 million. That's what I would say to them. I'd say, you know what? Yeah, fine, send him back, but we want the whole transfer fee paid in full, up front, 100%. And then we can go and sell him or loan him out to someone else. Because even if we did that, right, it still works out the same situation for us. If we were to say get the 25 million that we're owed for Sancho and then loan him out for a season, it's literally exactly the same financially for us. It makes no difference, you know? We're not like profiting from that. Because if we loan him out, someone else is paying his wages. If we sell him to Chelsea, someone else is paying our wages. Do you know what I mean? So, yeah. Al says we had to pay half of Sancho's wages. Mate, we're paying more than half of Sancho's wages. At the moment, Manchester United are paying Jadon Sancho 150k a week and Chelsea are paying 100. I've got the Chelsea wage bill up here. So we're currently paying more a week for Sancho than Chelsea are. And Jim Ratcliffe even said about that in his interview, didn't he? He said we're paying for Sancho to play for Chelsea at the moment. So, yeah, I mean, it's a mess. Right, let's move on from that. And let's talk about Hugo Ekitike. The stories around Ekitike seem to be heating up a lot. Obviously, we spoke about it on the channel yesterday. And you have more English journalists this morning saying that apparently Manchester United are closely monitoring Eintracht Frankfurt striker Hugo Ekitike. He's a name that's been kind of floating around for a while, isn't he? He was at PSG. I remember there was a summer where I think Newcastle were trying to buy him before they got Isak. And they ended up going for Isak, which obviously was an amazing signing. He's had a really good year, to be fair, Hugo Ekitike. He's only 22. He's got 27 goals and assists so far this season in 38 matches, which is a goal involvement nearly every 90 minutes. He's a proper striker. He's not, he's not a winger that can play as a striker. He is a striker. I think he'd be a good option. I'm not convinced that he's further along in his development than Højlund. Maybe a little bit. But I wouldn't say he's like a world-class clinical striker at this point. I would say he's one of those who's kind of bubbling up, if that makes sense. Like he's slowly becoming that player. But at the moment, I'm not quite sure if he is yet. Would you agree? Yeah, but I'd be interested to know what you guys think about Hugo Ekitike. Like, is he somebody you would go for? Is there somebody else you have in mind? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Very interested to know. Yeah, I don't know. I still think we need like a proper world-class striker, like a Gyökeres, like an Osimhen, like, I mean, I don't want Harry Kane anymore, but like a Harry Kane, somebody like that who's going to get you 20 goals a season, minimum. Poll on Ekitike. Yeah, we can do a poll on Ekitike. Why not? We'll do that quickly because I got to go in a minute. Let's do this. Should United sign Hugo Ekitike? I think the general consensus is people saying like, he's an exciting talent. He could become a good player, but I don't know whether he's going to be the answer for the immediate future, really. He's one of those that if we sign him now, he could come to United and might flop. If we don't sign him now, he might go on to become a world-class striker and we'll say, why did we not sign him? It's one of those. It's impossible to predict. It's 50-50. Whereas if Osimhen came to United or Gyökeres came to United and they didn't perform, that would be a bit of a shock, wouldn't it? Because you expect, you're expecting 20 goals a season from both of them, minimum. Somebody says he sucks. Fair enough. Manir says, what about Benjamin Sesko? I like Benjamin Sesko. I think he's another good option, but apparently Arsenal are going in for him. So, yeah, I think Benjamin Sesko would be a little bit more of a difficult deal to do, realistically. I mean, any of these deals are going to be difficult. Eintracht Frankfurt got, was it 90 million for Mamouche? Crazy. And he's having a similar season to Hugo Ekitike. And they're about, Hugo Ekitike is considerably younger as well. That's the thing, like, it's all good and well, the speculation, but when you actually boil down the facts, right? Frankfurt are a very difficult team to buy off. And they just sold Mamouche to City for 75 million euros. So I don't think Hugo Ekitike is going to be some cheap option, Al says Jonathan David and Obi Martin would be enough for me. Fair. Fred says, any news about the injury on Aiden Heaven? Yes, there is some news, actually. So Aiden Heaven was posting last night on social media. He says, thank you guys for the support. I have read all your messages and I'm doing really well and recovering fast. So I think it's positive. We'll have to wait until it's 100% kind of out there, but I think that sounds positive. Yeah, I don't know how you guys all feel about that. I'm happy that he's not obviously really injured himself. But yeah, obviously we've got to wait until we know for full. But anyway, I'm going to wrap the video up here, guys. 56% of people watching the video want Hugo Ekitike and 44% of you don't. So fair enough. There you go. Thank you very much for watching. I will be live again tomorrow morning. Have a great day, everybody. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. This has been Daily Red Devil. Speak to you all later. Bye.